Have you ever talked to someone who is really smart, but also really wrong at the same time?
I don't care. I don't frankly give a damn what you think of me since I've never heard of you.
Enter disrationalia, the inability to think and behave rationally despite adequate intelligence. This is the saddest kind of irrationality. When a stupid person does something irrational, we shrug and say, well, they were kinda dumb. But when a smart person holds wrong beliefs or makes irrational decisions, we feel that we have suffered a greater loss. They ought to have been able to do better than that. The core of the problem is quite simple, actually, and it's comprised of two distinct components. Number one, high intelligence doesn't mean rationality. Rationality means, among other things, to hold beliefs or to make decisions which logically follow from the observed data. High intelligence means a lot of things, but usually means good working memory, figuring out patterns and finding solutions to problems in your head. The two are similar, but not the same. Number two, if you are irrational to begin with, the smarter you are, the worse things go for you. So I have this friend, real smart guy, good with understanding concepts and patterns, but he's a classic example of someone that's too smart for their own good. He just has too much ready ammunition with which to argue against anything he doesn't like. So, say we're talking about veganism, or climate change, or artificial general intelligence, or risk of nuclear war, or any other important topic. His main thing is not to actually assess and weigh the risks. He doesn't try to figure out what is actually going on. He's not trying to learn, no. He has a conclusion in his head, and then he argues in favor of that conclusion. And since he's smart and has some knowledge, he can find ways to use this knowledge to defeat his opponents. But the person he's actually defeating is himself, because he's preventing himself from learning something new and changing his mind. It's not even trying to steel man a contrary position. He's not trying to give the best possible counterpoint and eventually arrive at the truth. He has a conclusion and then flexes his rhetorical debating muscles to argue in favor of that conclusion. The whole problem arises because of the idea that discussions and debates are about winning. But in the rationalist community, discussions are a way to find out the truth, not to win. In other words, if you say, oops, seems I was wrong, that is not and shouldn't be considered a loss. That's a win. So what people usually see as a loss, admitting you were wrong and changing your mind, is actually a big win. But it takes active work to not feel bad about saying I was wrong. If you hold some opinion, you start to identify with it, and soon every criticism against your opinion is a direct attack against you. Our monkey brain wakes up, sees that we are losing a battle of wits, which means that we are losing status among other monkeys. And this means that we are losing our resources and our mating opportunities. So the monkey gets angry. Less sophisticated monkeys get physically violent. You lose a debate and you throw hands. But the sophisticated monkeys try to use their intelligence to regain lost ground, to emerge victorious, and to retain their status in the hierarchy. So they flex their brains and come up with arguments in favor of their original opinion. And in the process, they forget about trying to find out the truth. So, am I saying that everyone's a monkey except me? Absolutely not. We all do this because we're biologically hardwired to do so. I also get defensive and stupid, but I try to control the monkey and admit that I'm wrong, even if this means that I'm quote-unquote losing. It would be cool if we were all just a tiny bit more rational, particularly regarding debates. That would be a great first step. Stop trying to win in a debate and instead try to find out the truth. I understand that what we're trying to do is changing what a debate actually is, but that is the goal. I mean, if you're in a cage with a lion and you try to debate with a child that's standing outside of the cage, and you try to claim that there is no lion, And the child simply says, hey, look, there's a lion. But you, an intellectual, decide that you're going to absolutely destroy this child with facts and logic, and so you throw all your intellectual power into your argument. The lion is not there because it could be an optical illusion. Maybe you talk about the simulation hypothesis, and the child is simply too stupid to understand what you're even talking about. What a peasant. They don't understand anything. Sure, man, you won the debate. But in the process of trying to make yourself look smarter, you decided not to accept the truth, and the truth tore you apart. Admittedly, we're not walking around in cages full of lions, but the analogy still stands. Maybe the truth won't come to bite us right away, but even if the consequences come afterwards, or are less brutal, or of a different kind, surely we would want to know what's going to happen. Surely it's in our best interest to get to the truth.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
For that reason, the norm should change. Discussions should be about finding out the truth, not raising your status in the monkey hierarchy. Understanding what the problem is all good and great, but I'm more interested in finding out what can we do about all of this. One important thing is not using sarcasm. Sarcasm makes you feel good because you scored points, but it makes the other person feel stupid and embarrassed. So if the goal is to find out the truth and not score points against the other person, not to raise your own status, then you should probably avoid using sarcasm. Above all, what you should be doing is listening and not automatically assuming that you're correct and the other person is wrong. So, obviously, we're in a tough situation here and it's going to be a long and arduous process, but it's still worth it. We should be changing the norm and we should be raising the sanity waterline. If you like this video, consider completely destroying the subscribe button with facts and logic. Thank you.